بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. Our discussion was about mushtaq, a term that can be used as a predicate, as an adjective for a noun, for a subject. It can be اسم الفاعل, it can be اسم المفعول, صفة المشبهة, صيغة المبالغة. It can be even some of the jamidat, some of the things which are not derived from any term. Like, for example, zawj, which still can be applied, or zawja. So the question was whether mushtaq is designated for something which still has some engagement with that verb or with that action or quality which is expressed by the root. For example, if you say katib, the root is kitaba, writing. So is katib designated for something which is still engaged with kitaba, with writing, or it can be used for something which is engaged and something which used to be engaged? Like a person who was yesterday writing, can we say that he is katib today? Certainly we can say he was katib yesterday. That is not questionable. What can we say? He is katib now because he used to be writing. This is the question. So we reached the second point, page 31. The first point about what is the difference between usuli mushtaq and grammatical mushtaq, we discussed it last session. The second point is اختلاف أنحاء التلبسات حسب اختلاف المبادئ. There are different types of engagement depending on differences of the roots, like kitaba, like tijara, the root from which this is derived. This is the title. The discussion is this, as I already mentioned last week. Some terms are used for a kind of occupation. For example, if you say someone is a driver, sa'iq, or if you say someone is, for example, carter, as his job, then even if he's eating, even if he's drinking, even if he's sleeping, if he has gone for holidays, when people ask, what is your job, what is, for example, your source of income, he can say, I am sa'iq, I am katib, I am tajir. He doesn't say, I used to be katib during the time that I was working. Yeah? Or if someone has a skill, like, for example, najjar, carpenter. Or if, for example, something is about potentiality. In Arabic, when a tree can bear fruit, we call ash-shajaratul muthmira. Muthmira means can bear fruit. Like apple, like orange. But even in winter, you can say this is muthmara. Because this is not to say that right now it has fruit. It means that this has the potential of bearing fruits. In contrast to those trees that they never bear fruits. So some people have said in cases like occupation or skills or potential, actual engagement is not important. It can be used even after engagement has expired. But when it's just a normal action or quality condition, it should be something which is going on. But the answer is no. It doesn't make difference. Engagement is needed in all these cases, but engagement with a kind of a skill, engagement with an occupation, and engagement with an action are different. Engagement has to be there. But if it is an action like eating, if someone was eating 1 hour ago, we don't say he is akil. Because akil is an act that happens in few minutes. And as long as that action is going on, we can say he is akil. But occupation is not something for few minutes or few hours. Occupation is something that can remain for years. As long as that person has not changed his occupation, you say he is engaged with this. He is katib, he is teacher, he is, driver, he is pilot. Even during the night, you can say. Because you don't want to say he is right now driving. You want to say this is his job. And yes, right now this is his job. Even in holidays, this is his job. It doesn't mean that he has to do it right now. Yeah? If you, for example, go to holiday and you are given a application form, what is your job? What do you say? You don't say, before I traveled, I used to be this. I used to be, for example, a teacher. No, you say, I am a teacher. Even when schools are closed, you are a teacher. I am a doctor, even if I'm not in my surgery. So, engagement has to be there, but you have to know that engagement with a job, with a skill, with something as a potentiality is different from engagement with an ongoing action. Okay? So there is no difference here. اختلاف انواع التلبسات حسب اختلاف المبادئ ربما يفصل بين المشتقات. Sometimes a distinction is made between different type of mushtaqat. Means some people want to say, for some mushtaqat we accept that talabbus is needed, for some we don't accept. Tafsil, yeah? Yufassal means they make a distinction. فَيُتَوَهَّمْ, it is mistakenly thought أَنَّ بَعْضَهَا حَقِيقَةٌ فِي الْمُتَلَبِّسِ, some of the derivatives are truly used or meant for something which is engaged. في المتلبس كالقائم. قائم is used for someone who is right now standing up. وَبَعْضُهَا فِي الْأَعَامِ, some of them are more general. It can be something which is already expired or something which is still going on. نَذِيرُ الْكَاتِبِ وَالْمُجْتَهِدِ وَالْمُثْمِرِ. Who is katib? Someone whose job is writing. Who is mujtahid? The one who has malakah. You know malakah? Malakah is كيفية راسخة للنفس تصدر عنها الفعل بسهولة من غير روية. A permanent, a fixed quality. Of course, when we say permanent, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it means it takes time. Something which is established. An established quality of the self or soul by which you don't need to think. You don't need to spend time. You can quickly either answer or do something. So, mujtahid is the one who has this quality. Maybe right now, he is not exercising ijtihad. Right now, he's maybe talking, listening, walking. But if he has this quality, we call him mujtahid. Or muthmir, a tree which bears fruits. فما يكون المبدأ فيه حرفة أو ملكة أو قوة يصدق وإن زال التلبس عن الذات. If that root, like كتابة, like قيام, تجارة, if that root, okay, مبدأ means that root, if that is for occupation or for equality or for a potentiality, for example, قوة, they said in these cases you can say that it is still applicable. يصدق. So mushtaq can be still applicable. It is still true and correct to use it for something which has lost the engagement. وإن زال التلبس عن الذات. Even if the engagement has finished. فهي موضوعة للأعم. So it is designated for something which is more general than متلبس. It can be متلبس or something that انقضى عنه التلبس. تلبس has finished. بشهادة صدقها مع عدم تلبسها بالكتابة والاجتهاد والإثمار. Because these mushtaqat can be still true and applicable even if there is no engagement. There is no engagement with writing, with ijtihad, with bearing fruits. بخلاف غيره, in contrast to other types, which are not حرفة or ملكة or قوة. Other types, مما كان المبدأ فيه أمرا فعليا. When the mabda, the root, is something which is an action that has to be ongoing, like eating, walking, talking. These are things that if you stop, then we don't say he is akil, he is sharib, he is qatil. Or for example, abyad wal aswad. If someone or something was white, then it became black. Then we don't say because it was white, still we say this is white. Okay, if something was yesterday yellow, we don't say it's yellow today. Okay, this is what some people have thought. But we have here a kind of reservation, a kind of observation. يُلَاحَظُ عَلَيْهِ. A kind of observation, which means a kind of objection. When we say يُلَاحَظُ عَلَيْهِ, means we have objection. What is the objection? I already told you. The objection is that in these cases, again, talabbus is there. But talabbus كل شيء بحسبه, engagement of everything is according to its own type. Talabbus, engagement with a job, is different from engagement with eating. يلاحظ عليه أن المبدأ يؤخذ تارة في المشتق. Mabda is sometimes used for mushtaq على نحو الفعلية. So mabda is taken as an action which is, normally actions happen in a very short period of time, and it's like a process of walking, process of eating, process of drinking. As long as that process is going on, you can use this mabda. this structure. وأخرى على نحو الحرفة. Sometimes you take that route as a kind of occupation. كتاجر. Tajer means tradesman. Yeah? So tradesman, this is his occupation. والثالثة على نحو الصناعة كالنجار. Like a type of industry or a type of a skill. You know sana'a? What is the difference between sana'a and hirfa? Sana'a means it's a kind of industry, a kind of thing that you make, a kind of a skill that you have.
Manufacturing.
Pardon?
Manufacturing.
A kind. Hirfa, maybe you don't do anything, just for example, you buy and then you sell. ورابعة على نحو القوة. Sometimes it's like a potentiality. شجرة مثمرة. Fruit tree. We say fruit tree?
Fruitful.
Fruitful, I think, is different. Fruitful means it has fruits.
It gives fruit. It gives fruit.
Anyway, fruit tree or fruit in the sense that it bears fruits. Doesn't need to have fruits right now. Maybe it's winter. Maybe it's early spring. But we say this is a tree which is muthmir.
Even if it's small, you still say it is muthmir.
Yeah. وخامسة على نحو الملكة. Malaka is different from qawwa. Although qawwa can sometimes be used in the sense of malaka. We say qawwatul ijtihad. That qawwa is different from qawwa here. Qawwa here means potentiality, like shajaratul muthmira. Sometimes qawwa used in the sense of malaka, which means kayfiyatun, rasikhatun, للنفس تستر عنها يستر عنها الفعل بسهولة من غير تراكم. So malaka is opposite to hal. You know, if a person once help poor people or once invites guests, we don't call him jawad, generous. By once or twice doing something, you don't have malaka. Who is jawad, generous? The one who has malakatul jud. Jud has become a kind of fixed quality for him as a second nature, so that he doesn't need, to calculate and think, when, for example, he sees a poor, he doesn't need to wait and, half an hour think, shall I give him £1? Some people takes them 1 hour to think, and then in the end they don't give anything. But someone who is generous, is very fast in giving. So this is malaka. Mujtahid. Mujtahid has this quality that when he is asked about new questions, when he is asked for advice or for instruction, he has that much of knowledge and experience and confidence that he can give you the answer. But the answer comes when he is asked. When he is not asked, still he is mujtahid, although he is not giving answer. Or he is not now, for example, doing research. Maybe he is in holidays. فإذا اختلفت المبادئ جوهرا ومفهوما لاختلفت أنحاء التلبسات بتبعها. When all the mabadi are considered, you realize that these mabadi are different in their jawhar, substance, in their mafhum, in their concept. So if they are different in substance and concept, types of engagement also would be different. And then accordingly, يختلف بقاء المبدأ حسب اختلاف المبادئ. If the engagements vary, then continuity also varies accordingly. Because continuity of job is different from continuity of action. ففي القسم الأول, in the first type, what was the first type?
Doing that.
يشترط في صدق التلبس تلبس الذات بالمبدأ فعلا. When it is just action, like قائم, it is required, يشترط, this is the condition, it's required for saying that engagement is there, that this essence has got that root. وفي القسم الثاني والثالث يكفي عدم إعراضه عن حرفته وصناعته. For the second and the third type, what is sufficient is that this person has not given up his occupation or industrial work or, a skillful job. إعراض means to give up. Yeah, like إعراض عن الوطن. Means you change your watan totally, you have no intention of staying in this town. This is called i'rad. Means giving up, turning away. وفي القسم الثاني والثالث يكفي عدم إعراضه عن حرفته وصناعته وإن لم يكن ممارسا بالفعل. Even if he is not right now exercising, mumarasa means exercising that action. He doesn't need to be right now working with wood and hammer and nails so that we say he is najjar. When we say he's najjar, this is his work. وفي الرابع, when there is قوة, potentiality, يكفي كونه متلبسا بقوة الإثمار. What is sufficient if that has the potentiality of bearing fruits. وإن لم يثمر فعلا, even if right now it has not got any fruits. وفي الخامس ملكة, like اجتهاد, يكفي وجود الملكة وإن لم يمارس فعلا. Even if right now he is not issuing fatwa, he is not right now doing investigation to give fatwa. Okay? فالكل داخل تحت المتلبس بالمبدأ في الفعل. All these fall under something which is engaged with مبدأ. في مقابل من قضى عنه المبدأ. In contrast to what has lost engagement with مبدأ. In these cases, losing engagement with مبدأ is when you change your job or you change your, industrial work, or you lose the potential, or you lose malakah. Imagine a mujtahid has an accident and he forgets everything. Here we don't call him mujtahid. Okay? Or maybe a mujtahid is not engaged in a study and he loses ijtihad. It's possible. If you are not in Hose and with Talabe students studying, teaching, writing, you go down. When, I think it was Sahib Jawahir, if I'm not mistaken, passed away, they went to Sheikh Ansari and said, you are A'lam, the most knowledgeable person, so please give us your risala, we want to follow you. He said, when we were younger, I had a friend, I think his name was Habibullah Rashdi. He has gone back to his own town in northern Iran, and he was more knowledgeable than me. Look at the style. They went to him. He didn't say, okay, thank you, no. He said, Sheikh Ansari is right. When I was in Jose, I was a little bit maybe better. But now I have been away from Jose. He is certainly now better than me. Go back to him. So this shows their humbleness, their detachment from dunya, and that even ijtihad is something that can be lost. It's not that, when you get it, you keep it for your entire life. As long as you are engaged. So there are many people who are very good when they are in Jose. But when they go outside Jose, and they are just dealing with, lay people, ordinary people, it goes down. Even, I think I told you this about Sheikh Ansari, rahmatullah alayh, that he used to say, don't ask me questions, if possible, on Saturdays. Why? Because we have Thursday and Friday as holidays. Even 2 days of not teaching and studying, or maybe just one day Friday, keeps me, a little bit, in a kind of low energy. Give me Saturdays. On Sunday, I am again back to my high performance. This is one day. So this is why, when we were in Jose, whenever we had holidays, we were taking our books and review. As long as I remember, if I'm not mistaken, for example, I reviewed Mantiq Muzaffar 4 times after I took the lesson. 4 times. So that I remember. And then, I start teaching, Because if you leave it aside, you forget. Even if you have best memory, you will forget. You have to keep refreshing your memory. Mubatha, of course. So, malaka can also be lost. فالكل داخل تحت المتلبس بالمبدأ بالفعل في مقابل من قضى عنه المبدأ. All of these cases, talabbus is there, engagement is there, in contrast to where there is no engagement. Okay, I think it's actually clear. We don't need to read more this part. Let's go to the next after stars. There are 2 main arguments. Page 32, middle of the page, under stars. Okay? So, there are 2 major arguments for saying that it is designated for what is still engaged, mutalabbis. One is tabadur. You know tabadur. You remember we said we have linguistic principles that we use to define what is ma'na al-haqiqi. So if you want to know whether ma'na al-haqiqi is mutalabbis or it is more general, so see, when you hear this word, what comes to your mind? Without evidence. If there is additional evidence, then that's another issue. But if there is no additional evidence, just from hearing the word, what comes to your mind? If you hear qatib, if you hear qa'im, if you hear, I don't know, sa'iq, alim, mujtahid, what comes to your mind? Does it come as mutalabbis or more general? We say no, mutalabbis. متلبس كان طبعا. For example, in addition to the examples I mentioned, if it is said صل خلف العادل صل خلف العادل, say your prayer behind adil, someone who is just and righteous. Okay, if someone was adil, used to be adil, but then he committed a sin, can we still say our prayer behind him, arguing that adil can be used for someone who has adalah and for someone who used to have? Can we say this? No. When you say Salla khalf al-adil, means someone who is adil right now. Or La tusalli khalf al-fasiq, in a negational way. If it is said, don't say your prayer behind a sinful person, if someone used to be fasiq, but then he repented and he became muttaqi, pious, can we say he is still fasiq? No. Or for example, if it is said, don't say your prayer behind an imam which has some types of problems, like for example, he's mentally ill, or some problems with body that might not help in interaction with people, We say, this cannot be applied to the person who had this condition, but now he's okay. Imagine someone, for example, had some mental illness, but now he's okay. We don't say he's still Majnun. Say, he used to be Majnun, now he's okay. Okay. Another thing is, if it is said, لا يؤم الإعرابي أعرابي المهاجرين. Bedouins should not be leading the prayer for immigrants. Of course, immigrants, we mean immigrants from Mecca to Medina, Muhajirin. And this was not based on racism or whatever. This was based on, because Bedouins at that time, they didn't have that much knowledge about Islam. We say at-ta'arrubu ba'da al-hijrah. We had, this is one of the major sins, is at-ta'arrubu ba'da al-hijrah. And that is, when you are Arabi, you don't have access to knowledge. If you go to Medina or a place that you can learn, and then you can still remain there, but you go back to a place that you have no access to knowledge, this is not permissible. Anyway, someone who doesn't have knowledge should not be the leader of prayer for someone who has knowledge. These are examples. Yeah.
Can you tell me what Majzoom mean? Majzoom?
Majzoom Juzam is a kind of a disease that flesh and skin come out. What is it called? Leprosy?
Discrimination.
Leprosy.
Discrimination.
Leprosy.
Skin discrimination.
Jesus used to cure them.
Exfoliative.
Okay. We have doctor here, Dr. Mustafa. Okay. The second argument is Sihhatus Salb. Again, you remember Sihhatus Salb. One of the linguistic principles was Sihhatul Haml and Adamu Sihhatus Salb for Haqiqah, and Sihhatus Salb for Majaz. So, if someone was doing something and he's no longer doing it, can we negate that mushtaq or not? For example, someone was writing, now he stopped. Can we say he is not katib? Yes. If you mean by katib, of course, job, if his job has changed, we can say he's not katib. If you mean actual act of writing, when he stops writing, then we say he's not katib, depending on what you mean. So, صحة السلب عمن انقضى عنه المبدأ. Permissibility or validity of negating this mushtaq from something which has lost the engagement. For example, لا يقال لمن هو قاعد بالفعل إنه قائم. When someone is sitting right now, we can not say he is qa'im. So you can negate. You can say ليس بقائم. Someone who is sitting now. If qa'im was for general, more than, mutalabbis, you must be able to say he is qa'im, but we cannot say. So صحة الحمل أمن انقضى عنه التلبس تدل على أن المشتق موضوع للمتلبس فقط.
This was an action, Sheikh.
Pardon?
The example you gave was an action.
Yeah, for action, also for other things. If someone is no longer carpenter, do we have sahatul salb or not?
Maybe logically.
We can say
practically-
هو ليس بالنجار. It's possible.
But actually, practically, Sheikh, you would say that still people would say fulan al-najjar. Even if he is not najjar.
If he's not najjar, they don't say fulan najjar. Unless it has become like a title or surname for him. That's another issue. Otherwise, if it's a matter of job, when someone changes his job, then they don't call him. Okay. استدل القائلون بالأعام. Those people who have a different opinion. Those who say no, it is designated for more general than mutalabbis. It can be mutalabbis or it can be man qada anhu talabbus, something that has lost the engagement. They have also arguments, but now I am sure you can understand the weakness of their arguments. The first argument, صدق أسماء الحرف كالنجار على من انقضى عنه المبدأ. They say the names of the occupations can be still applied after the root has finished, has stopped. The same is with Asma'ul Malikat. So for Haraf means occupations, like Najjar. Malikat like Mujtahid. They say Najjar, even if he's in home, we call him Najjar. Mujtahid, even if he's in home, we call him Mujtahid. And the answer is what? The answer is that here, لم ينقضي عنه تلبس. Talabbus is باطن. Talabbus is still there. لقد عرفت الجواب عن. You know the answer. وأن الجميع من قبيل التلبس بالمبدأ. لا الزائل عنه المبدأ. They are all engaged and they have this root, not that the root has finished. The second argument that they have, they say, if, please pay attention to the second argument. They say, if in the past, for example, had engagement, had that root, even after that we can say, kana ضاربا. لو تلبس بالمبدأ في الزمان الماضي, if it had engagement with the root in the past tense, in the previous time, still we can say he is zareb because of his engagement in that time. Our objection is this. We say, what do you mean? If someone was yesterday doing something, you want to say that I can still today call him with that mushtaq. For example, yesterday he was beating someone, you want to say today he is zarib? No. If you want to say kana dhariban bil ams, we don't have problem with that. Of course you can say kana dhariban bil ams, because when you are talking about the past, in the past he had talabbus. Because when you say kana dhariban bil ams, it means that you are talking about a context in which he had talabbus. Is it clear? So if you want to tell him that today you are zarib because yesterday you were beating, no. If you want to say yesterday he was zarib, yes, of course yesterday he was zarib. Even if you are talking today, it's not a problem. The time of talking is not important. The time of the sentence is important. What we need is, according to the time of the sentence, it has to be mutalabbis. Is it clear? أن إجراء المشتق على الموضوع في المثال المذكور يتصور على وجهين. To apply mushtaq on that subject in the example of zarib can be conceived in two ways. There are two ways to imagine this. Okay? One, أن يكون زمان التلبس بالمبدأ في الخارج متحدا مع زمان النسبة الكلامية. The time in your sentence, نسبة الكلامية means the time in your sentence, the relation between subject and predicate. The same time in the sentence and the same time of talabbus, this has no problem at all. Because in reality, there is no enqaza here. You say, in that time he was zarib, okay, no problem. كأن يقول زيد ضارب أمس. Yes. If the time was different, for example, the day before yesterday he was zarib, and you say yesterday he was zarib, is wrong.
If a writer writes a book, he writes one book and then he give a gap of 6 months and write another book. But he's still called a writer.
He still has?
He's a writer.
Yeah, but is he still in this, field of writing, or he has given up this field? If he's still, any few months, a few years, producing a new book, so we can say he's qatil. All right.
How does this fit with your previous example of the murderer? That even if he does it once, he's labeled as a murderer. Is that
No.
just a terminological label that we put?
Qatil can be used in two senses. Sometimes qatil means someone who is killing now. Sometimes qatil is used for someone who has killed. Means even if once he has done something, we consider him as qatil, as a killer. It seems that here talabbus is different. Like, for example, لا ينال عهد الظالمين. Even over there we have this discussion that zulm is one of the things that if you do it once, you are always considered as zalim. So
Is it like potential? Like since you've done it, now you have to.
it's actual because he has committed this,
Yes.
but it's such a great crime that it's like something which still has remained with you. The traces of qatl cannot be washed away.
Yeah. So is it like?
It's like a seal
Yeah.
on your forehead. Na'udzubillah. He's qatil.
It's like you become this type, like the tree, which has fruit. Now you're not doing it, but you become this type. That you're this type of tree, for example. And now you're this type of
When
person.
he pays qasas, and after that he says,
Pardon?
even he pays the damage and
You mean if he's punished? If he's still alive, it may still be called, for example, qatil, but who has been forgiven, for example, or released. Okay. Let's go to the tatbiq. Just few examples, I think. We don't need to read every word. Just few examples. تطبيق. قال رجل لعلي بن الحسين عليه السلام. A person told Imam Zain al-Abidin عليه السلام أين يتوضأ الغرباء? Strangers. Where can strangers make their wuzu? A stranger means you are not in your own hometown, so you don't have your home and facilities, washroom, you know. You need a place for rest. قال تتقي شطوط الأنهار والطرق النافذة وتحت الأشجار المثمرة. You avoid. In Ilm al-Usul, you learn that sometimes fi'l muzari means command. Tattaqi means you must avoid. You know, sometimes they ask faqih, for example, I had doubt between 1 and 2. It says, tu'idu salat. You repeat salat, means you must repeat. Yeah. Actually, they say fi'lul mudari, if it is used for command, it's stronger than command. Because it supposes that you will do it certainly. Okay? So, if you avoid these few things, then you can find a place which is okay. Rivers, yes.
Was the question wudu or something else? Because it sounds to me like he was.
Wudu here means, you know, going for washroom, for restroom. Qada'ul haja.
Okay, what was the question now? Because I don't have.
So yes, it says, where can I, you know, for example, urine or whatever, you know, he wants to rest. So where can I go? It's not my hometown. So you avoid rivers. You avoid pathways, like roads, lanes, streets that people use for. And also beneath fruitful trees or fruit trees. Now the question is, when we say تحت الأشجار المثمرة, does it mean right now it has to have fruits, or even in winter it is مثمرة, although that is not the season for having fruits? Okay? But again, as we said, it doesn't make any difference, not because this is a question of talabbus is finished or not. As long as there is this potentiality of bearing fruits, we call it مثمرة. فعلى القول بالوضع للمتلبس بالمبدأ يختص الحكم بما إذا كانت مثمرة ولو بالقوة. If we say it has to be متلبس, we say okay, so it must be either actually or potentially fruitful. But imagine if we have an apple tree that now has totally dried out, so has even no potentiality of bearing apple next year. Can we still say this is muthmira? Say no. It's different from winter and, you know, apple tree that is okay and just is not season. So talabbus for something which can be used in potentiality talabbus finishes when potentiality is also finishing. Means no way that this can bear fruit in future.
But maybe a stranger, Sheikh, you wouldn't know that. I don't know if this tree is, I mean, if it has got the power or no.
He is a stranger, but not a stupid. By looking at me, you can see is it dried out or not.
In the winter you cannot.
Because even those trees which are not dead, in winter you see life. Yeah? Okay. Sorry, I'm just joking so that the class is not too dry. عن أبي عبد الله عليه السلام في المرأة ماتت. Yes.
Just before we go to the second, here it says ولو يبست فقدت قوة الإتمام لأجل طول عمرها. What does he mean by that? Even if
It's very old tree, so it's no chance that again is revived.
yes, but is he including it?
Yeah.
Is he
فقدت
including it?
قوة.
So he's still calling it شجرة مثمرة even if it has lost its potential?
No. If we say أعم,
Yeah.
if you don't say أعم, you say no, it's not مثمر. He wants to tell you where the difference can be. The second example. There is a hadith narrated from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. في المرأة ماتت. Of course, these are hadiths, not fatwas, sanad, delala, all things, So don't act upon these hadiths necessarily. Check with your marja. I hope you don't consider yourself as marja. So, في المرأة ماتت وليس معها امرأة تغسلها. A woman has passed away. There is no another woman to wash her body. We need غسل الميت. Yeah? There's no other lady. What we should do? Imam alayhi salam, according to this hadith, said, يدخل زوجها يده تحت قميصها. Her husband puts his hand under her shirt فيغسلها إلى المرافق. Washes her body but up to marafiq. Question. If someone was her husband but then divorced her, can we say still he is zawj for this lady? No. Yes. Her husband before death, we still can say husband because the relation is not finished. Yeah? The husband before death. Relation is there. Talabbus is there. But husband before divorce, we cannot say zawjuha. Do you understand?
Yeah. But what about Sheikh if they have divorced?
Even a stranger understands, yeah.
No, I mean, they have divorced and she died and she hasn't remarried. What's the situation?
How can? After death married her?
No. They divorced before her marriage, before her death.
Okay.
Or when she died, she wasn't remarried with someone
Yeah.
else. So she hasn't
Okay, so it's not his wife.
No.
So he divorced her, for example, 1 year ago.
No, he's asking if the woman died and she hasn't got her husband. Husband is already
Yeah,
passed away.
doesn't make difference.
Oh,
Whether has you want to she didn't remarry someone else.
exactly.
No, doesn't make any difference. He is not mahram to her. When divorce happens, no longer it's zawjiyah.
Yeah, but the situation is still there. What's the solution?
That's another fiqh
Yeah. That's what I am asking.
So you ask for her brother, her father, for example. You have to ask Martha. Okay. So you see that this is not something very just abstract or theoretical. You can find cases in ahadith that you can only understand them properly if you decide about this question. And as we said, our opinion is that it should be mutalabbis. if it's not متلبس, it's مجاز. But تلبس كل شيء بحسبه. Engagement of everything, it's according to its own type. Engagement with job, with potentiality, with faculty, all are different. Alhamdulillah, we finished muqaddimah. Okay? So we had these 12 introductory points. Now we start with the first chapter, like maqsadul awwal, like the first section. Fil awamir, about commands, like we had in Mabadi Usul al-Fiqh. Commands. You remember we had maddatul am, siqatul am, all those discussions. We have it here. So maybe we leave it inshallah for next session. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.